If you're 60 right now, this video was made for you. You know that feeling when you wake up at 6 inches in the morning, and for just 1 second, you don't remember how old you are? Just 1 second, and then it hits you. The back, the knees, the silence in the house that used to be loud. You lie there and you think, where did it all go? You remember being 30, sitting at a table, planning everything, the career, the family, the house. You had a list. You were going to do all of it, and you did most of it. You actually did most of it. But somewhere between the doing and the finishing, you lost something. And you can't quite name it. It's not money. It's not people. It's something quieter than that. It's you. The version of you that used to have something burning inside. The one who had opinions and energy, and that thing in your eyes when you talked about something you loved. And now you're 60, and the world keeps moving. And your phone keeps buzzing with things that feel irrelevant. And your children are busy, and your friends are tired. And you sit sometimes in a room full of people and feel completely, quietly alone. If any part of that landed, stay with me. Because this video was made for exactly that feeling. Let me tell you what a day looks like for most people at 60, not the Instagram version, the real one. You wake up, usually before the alarm. Sleep hasn't been the same in years. You don't sleep deeply anymore. You just rest in shallow water, never quite sinking, never quite surfacing. You lie there for a few minutes, looking at the ceiling, thinking about nothing specific, thinking about everything. Then you get up. The body takes longer to warm up now. You don't jump out of bed. You negotiate with it. A few minutes sitting on the edge of the mattress. A stretch that sounds louder than it should. You go to the kitchen. You make tea or coffee, whichever one the doctor hasn't warned you about yet. And you stand there, just standing, holding the cup. And for a moment, it's peaceful, actually peaceful. Then the day starts. Maybe you're still working, and if you are, there's a version of you that's grateful because work gives structure and structure gives purpose. But there's also another version that's exhausted, not physically, mentally. The kind of tired that comes from doing something for 30 years that you're very good at, but stopped loving somewhere around year 15. Or maybe you've retired. And if you have, nobody warned you about this part. Everybody talks about retirement like it's a destination you cross the finish line and you get handed a life of ease. But nobody tells you that ease without meaning is just slow emptiness. That the first few months feel like a long weekend. And then it stops feeling like a weekend. Your body has conversations with you now that it never used to have. The knee that clicks on stairs, the back that reminds you of every bad chair you sat in for 20 years, the reading glasses you now own in 3 rooms, the medication on the counter that wasn't there 5 years ago. And the world around you keeps changing in ways that feel less and less like yours. The music changed, the language changed, the way people communicate changed. You're not bitter about it, you're just not sure where you fit anymore. Your children call, less than you'd like, but you understand they have their own lists now, their own 30-year-old tables with plans on them. You don't say anything. You just say, I'm fine, beta, don't worry about me. And sometimes you mean it, and sometimes you don't. You scroll through your phone at night, looking at pictures of people your age who seem to be traveling, laughing, thriving, and you wonder, is that real? Are they actually happy? Or are they also lying in bed at 6 a.m. negotiating with the ceiling? You think about regret sometimes, not with anger, just with that soft, late night ache, the road you didn't take, the person you didn't say something to before they were gone, the version of yourself you were going to become that you somehow postponed and kept postponing until postponing became the plan. This is the daily reality of being 60 that nobody talks about in polite, our conversation. And if you're nodding right now, I want you to know you are not broken, you are not behind, you are not alone. What you're feeling is one of the most documented, most researched, most human experiences on Earth. And there is a name for it. And more importantly, there is a way through it. Here's something that psychology has known for decades, but rarely says loudly enough. 60 is not a decline. It is a transition. And transitions are hard, not because something is ending, but because we don't yet know what is beginning. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists who ever lived, called this the second half of life. He said that in the first half, we build the self the world asked us to build. We chase success, security, status, belonging. We become someone. But in the second half, if we're brave enough to enter it, we ask, was that actually me? Or was that the role I was given? And that question, as terrifying as it sounds, is not a sign of crisis. It is a sign of growth. It means something in you is ready for more truth, more depth, more real. Harvard researchers studying aging found something remarkable. Emotional intelligence actually peaks in your 60s. Your ability to regulate emotions, to read people, to understand complexity, to choose what matters, these abilities are statistically stronger now than they were at 35. You are not past your peak. You are, in many ways, just reaching it. The problem isn't that you've run out of time. The problem is that nobody gave you the map for this part of the journey. The first half came with instructions: school, career, family, house, clear steps, clear milestones. The second half has no syllabus. And that's what makes it feel like being lost even when you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, if you're finding this useful, and I think you are, because you're still here, I want to ask you to do one small thing. Share this video with one person who's 60 or approaching it, someone in your contacts right now who you know is carrying this quietly. You don't have to say anything, just send it. Because sometimes the most powerful thing one person can do for another is simply say, I see you. Here's something that might help. So what do you actually do with this? I'm not going to give you a 30-day plan. I'm not going to sell you a course. What I'm going to give you is something more useful than that. 3 questions, written down, not in your head. And these 3 questions, when you sit with them honestly, have a way of pointing you somewhere real. First question, what still excites me? Not what should excite me. Not what excited me at 40. Right now, today, what is there, even a flicker of something that makes me lean forward? A subject, a place, a skill, a person, a project, even something small, even something that feels silly to admit. What stirs something? Second question, who do I want to show up for? Not out of duty, not because I'm supposed to, out of something genuine love, meaning, connection. Who, when I think of them, gives me a reason that feels real? It might be your grandchildren. It might be a community. It might be a cause. It might even be yourself. But who? Third question, what would I try if I wasn't afraid of looking foolish? Because here's the truth about 60 that nobody says. The fear of embarrassment has quietly replaced the fear of regret. When we were young, we feared missing out. Now, we fear looking ridiculous. And that fear of judgment from people who, honestly, you are too busy with their own ceiling at 6 a.m. to judge you, that fear is keeping you from the thing you were actually meant to try. Write these down, not on your phone, on paper, and sit with them for 3 days. Because naming what you want is the first act of moving toward it. You can't walk towards something you haven't named. And you can't name something you haven't been honest enough to admit. Viktor Frankl, who survived a concentration camp by finding meaning in impossible conditions, said this: everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, the freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. You have that freedom right now, at 60. With everything you've been through and everything you still carry, you have that freedom. You don't need a revolution. You don't need to sell the house and move to another country. You don't need to become someone completely different. You just need a direction, one route, one small, honest movement towards something that is genuinely yours. Because here's what I have observed again and again. The people who feel most alive at 70 are not the ones who had the easiest 60s. They are the ones who, somewhere in their 60s, got honest with themselves, who stopped managing the life they had built and started tending to the life they actually wanted. They didn't reinvent themselves. They remembered themselves. And there is a version of you still in there, still breathing, still capable of surprising everyone, including yourself, that is waiting for exactly that permission. Before I go, I want to ask you one thing. In the comments below, write one word, just one. The word that describes what you still want, what you haven't stopped wanting, even when you told yourself you had. Peace, connection, adventure, creation, laughter, legacy, purpose. Freedom, whatever your word is, write it. Because when you type that word, something shifts. You've said it now. It's no longer just a thought. It exists somewhere outside of you. And things that exist outside of you have a way of becoming real. Read the comments too, because there are people there, strangers, who woke up to the same ceiling, who made the same tea, who have the same ache writing their word. And there is something deeply, quietly healing about knowing you are not the only one. If this video meant something to you, share it, not for me. For the person in your life who needs to hear that 60 is not too late, that they haven't missed anything, that the most meaningful chapter of a life is often the one that begins exactly here, in the quiet, in the uncertainty, in the question. 60 is not an ending. It never was. It is the moment the tree stops growing taller and starts growing deeper. And the deepest trees are the strongest ones, the ones that survive every storm, the ones that are still standing long after the ones that only grew tall have fallen. You are still growing. You are still here. And that means something is not finished yet. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. You've earned that much and more.